This has just happened within the past hour. For a bit of context, I, a 24-year-old female, met my fiancé, a 25-year-old male, FH for future hubby, in 2021. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are alcoholics and drug addicts. With that said, let us start the first of many posts I will be making about this family. This year, I just found out that my twin sister, also a 24-year-old female, got diagnosed with breast cancer. We had made plans to visit my family over in Mexico to see her from the 25th, 30th of December for 5 days. His mother had just called me and is now trying to get me to cancel my plans because it's not fair that we see my family more over the holidays and she feels insulted. I have not seen my family since 2020, and this will be the first time FH meets them in person. We are also planning on getting engaged while in Mexico. We are leaving tomorrow to visit his family on the 23rd and 24th of December 2023. His mother decided to wait until the day before we leave to tell me that her plans changed. She is now hosting Christmas on the 24-25 and expected us to be there since we already RSVP'd yes. I tried telling her the situation, that we would be leaving at 6 a.m. Christmas Day to take our flight over to Mexico. She started screaming at me over the phone, telling me that I'm an ungrateful jerk and that we RSVP'd yes so we can't change our plans now when she's been waiting so long to see us. We live 2 hours away from her, and until recently, we used to go there every weekend. I'm not sure what to do. FH is at work, and I'm home with our pets. I'm usually a non-confrontational person, but this has hurt my feelings. She has just insulted me once again and is expecting to get her way. I don't know if I'm the jerk for making the plans with my family, but that's what she's making me feel like. While writing this post, she and her sisters began sending me nasty texts, all about how I'm a horrible person for refusing FH to see his family. He's been in low contact with her for a while, because she's like this. Thank you for reading. I will be online all day to hear any suggestions and to see if I am the idiot. Mini update. FH just came home for lunch. Apparently, mother-in-law has been spam calling him since she and I spoke. She is saying that I was the aggressor. She started her crocodile tears and spun the story to make her the victim. Luckily, mother-in-law and her sisters had sent me some horrible texts that I could show him. He is appalled by this behavior. We still plan on going to Mael's since sister-in-law is going to watch our pets. We had made the decision that we would stay at Sile's for our visit instead of staying at MIL's and father-in-law's. Even though she has taken to Facebook to call me out for stealing her son, again, after this holiday season, we are finally going to no contact. Thank you all for your advice, and I am glad I'm not in the wrong. I will update you on the 31st if any of you are interested. I will also respond to any private messages I receive before tomorrow. Happy holidays to you all. Update. Hello everyone. I just wanted to thank you all for your kind words and give you a bit of an update about what happened before we went to Mexico. We went over to Seal's on the 23rd. Then we went to Mael's for dinner, since FH's family was all there. Mother-in-law was wasted and continued to make discriminatory comments towards me, which is something she's never really done. At least not like this. She made a comment about how she wished my twin sister would die because I'm stealing her baby boy, and ultimately the entire family has turned against mother-in-law. Father-in-law is now seeking out a divorce lawyer, which he announced in front of the entire family at the dinner table while she was making the comments about my sister. She was screaming, crying. She even threw a plate across the room. It was very chaotic, and we all left shortly after. She began spam messaging FH to the point he just blocked her, and everyone had left before dessert and presents. Some of the cousins were upset, but everyone made their way over to sister-in-law's, where we all got the wonderful news that she is expecting. Her gift to us was an ultrasound of her baby. Mother-in-law still does not know, and we actually had a great time with his family, and I do not see mother-in-law being a problem ever again. Seeing my family was amazing. It was wonderful to see my niece and nephew. Now, for some comments that I have received over the Christmas holidays, I am happy to inform you that FH and I are engaged. He proposed with my entire family there, and it was a beautiful moment. We are planning to have a destination wedding in Mexico on December 27th, 2024. I want to say thank you to all the people who have left me some amazing comments and messages. I took everything you said to heart. It took reading your messages for him to realize that our lives would be a lot more peaceful without his mother. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I am truly grateful for your comments and suggestions. Happy New Year. Now for a few comments. Comment 1. Not the jerk. Mother-in-law, I am going with my sister this year. Next year I will do the same, unless you adjust how you are speaking to me and speak to me in a respectful tone. I was diagnosed with the BRCA, breast cancer, gene last year. Just had a double mastectomy. Please get tested for BRCA. Even if you don't have the surgeries now, there are much better ways to detect cancer now. Comment 2. We RSVP'd yes, so we can't change our plans now. You RSVP'd for the original dates. She is the one who changed the plans knowing you had other plans. This was intentional to try to force you to choose her over your family. He's been low contact with her for a while, because she's like this. Time to switch to no contact, in my opinion. Best friend jealous of my man, so I uninvited her from the wedding. She tried playing the victim, but the truth hit hard. Izzy, 27 years old, and I, 26 years old, have been friends since we were born. We were practically raised together. We were closer in college, but after that we have been drifting apart a little, but I still had a strong bond with her up until recently. She has been there for me a lot, and I have too, so it's tough, this situation. After college, when Izzy was like 23, she went on a few dates with Jake, my fiancé, but then told him she wasn't interested in anything serious. Even though I was her best friend, I didn't really know Jake because she used to get asked out a lot, but only a few turned serious. So I knew about her boyfriends, but not necessarily her dates. Almost a year after that, I moved in with Izzy, and so we got close again. It was after this that I met Jake. We quickly became good friends. I used to talk about him to Izzy a lot, but it's when I showed her his picture that she recognized him and told me about her dates with him. Friendships were more important to me than any guy back then, so I asked her if it was okay to date him because I liked him a lot. She said she had no problem and joked about it ever turning into a relationship, which I took as a joke. Jake and I became serious very quickly. He is my soulmate. By then, though, Izzy and I lost touch a bit since I moved in with Jake, and work became more of a priority. Right until I got engaged, she used to still joke to both me and Jake that she didn't think we would be this into each other. And at that time, I saw it as funny because Jake is the opposite of me. After I got engaged, she became very weird. She was very shocked and would not believe it. Then later she used to tell me I'm too young to be married, and if I'm sure, but I saw this as just concern, although she agreed to be my MOH, maid of honor, along with my sister. Afterwards, I posted on my Instagram about our engagement, and people were reposting it and congratulating us. But Izzy just captioned it saying, "You better mention me in your vows because he was into me first, haha." Jake felt very uncomfortable, and so did I, but I defended her saying that it's just Izzy. She jokes around a lot. But I still let her know that it was a bit uncomfortable, and she said that she was just joking. After Christmas, we hosted a dinner party, and that day, Izzy just kept telling all the friends and family gathered that Jake dated her first. She let me have him, stuff like that. Even after telling her it was not okay, she joked around. Later I told her that she was crossing my boundaries and that it was not okay, to which she said I was overreacting. In the end, I told her not to attend my wedding at all. I have been overthinking a lot after that. Right now, people who know about this are just choosing sides based on who they know more. I'm worried I'm ruining a lifelong friendship when I'm not even right. What if to her, it really was just a joke and I'm not being understanding? But she is not being supportive or positive, which I think is unfair. I'm confused. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I think that she loses any right to claim it was just a joke when you've expressed that it makes you uncomfortable and asked her to stop. You have every right to enforce your boundaries, even if that means ending a long friendship. If she was a good friend, she would value your feelings over her need for attention, which is clearly what this is about, in my opinion. Also, it's weird that people are choosing sides in this. There is literally no reason for it, and they should really start behaving like adults. Comment 2. Not the idiot. When you repeatedly ask a friend to stop making a comment that bothers you and they continue, in public no less? That's not a real friend. Afterthought. Re-invite her, but only if the best man makes repeated references to the terrible taste the groom used to have in women, what vapid girls he used to date, etc. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I've been on an emotional roller coaster. Izzy and I have been friends since we were in diapers, and our bond has always been strong, even when life took us in different directions. But the recent events have really tested our friendship. After I told Izzy not to attend my wedding, things got really tense. She didn't take it well, and I guess I didn't expect her to. We've been through so much together, from childhood sleepovers to helping each other through college exams. It's hard to believe that a guy could come between us, especially since she was the one who introduced me to Jake. I remember when Izzy and Jake went on those few dates. She never seemed that into him, always talking about how they were just having fun and nothing serious would come of it. I trusted her word, and when Jake and I started getting close, I never imagined it would lead to this mess. The day after I uninvited her from the wedding, Izzy showed up at my door. She was crying, saying she didn't mean to hurt me and that she was just trying to deal with her own feelings about Jake and me. I was shocked. I never knew she had any lingering feelings for Jake. She always seemed so indifferent about their past, but now she was confessing that seeing us together made her realize she might have made a mistake letting him go. I felt a mix of anger and sympathy. Here was my best friend, someone who had been by my side through thick and thin, admitting something that must have been hard for her to say. But at the same time, she had crossed a line with her comments and behavior. Jake, who had been my rock through all of this, was equally stunned by Izzy's confession. He reassured me that he had no feelings for her and that I was the one he wanted to be with. But the tension between the three of us was undeniable. The following days were a blur of emotions. Izzy tried to make amends, sending me texts and leaving voicemails, apologizing and asking for forgiveness. I was torn. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to go back to the way things were before all this drama. But another part of me was hurt and couldn't forget the things she had said and done. Then, 2 days ago, Jake and I had a long talk. He told me about how he had always admired my friendship with Izzy and how he never wanted to be the reason we fell out. He suggested we try to work things out with her, for the sake of our history and the bond we shared. So yesterday, I met with Izzy. We sat down at our old favorite coffee shop, the one where we used to study for hours on end during college. The air was heavy with unspoken words as we sipped our drinks. Izzy broke the silence, explaining how she had been feeling lonely lately. She had seen other friends getting married and felt left behind. She admitted that her jokes were a way to mask her pain and that she never intended to cause any harm. I listened, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. I realized that Izzy was struggling with her own issues and that her actions were a cry for help. We talked for hours, hashing out our feelings and clearing up misunderstandings. In the end, we hugged it out, both of us with tears in our eyes. I told her she could come to the wedding, but not as my MOH. That role would now be solely my sister's. Izzy understood and agreed, grateful to be included at all. As I walked home, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. But there was also a pang of sadness. Our friendship would never be the same. We had both said and done things that couldn't be taken back. The innocence of our childhood bond was gone, replaced by the complexities of adult relationships. Husband demands my house deed, but I won't fold. He laughed until he found his bags packed, and... Background. I, 29-year-old female, have known and been with my husband, 33-year-old male, for the past 4 years, and we have been married for 2 years. I started working when I was 21, right after completing my bachelor's degree. After 2 years of working, I bought myself a house. It is nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom, 2-floor house that I built on my own land. I got to know and started dating my husband in 2019. By that time, the construction of my house had finished. He lived in a different country, so when he visited me, I took him to see my house. I am very proud of it since it is something I built with my own money, and I own it, even though it is small. After our wedding, I moved to the country where he was already living. We split our bills and rent equally, as we both work in IT and earn a good income. Now, we are planning to buy a house together. We have found a place that we both like and can afford. We are putting both of our names on the deed because we are both contributing financially. The problem arose when he said he wanted his name added to the house I bought by myself. I am not comfortable doing that, and I expressed my concerns. He thinks it is unfair that I have two houses now, and he would only have a part of one. I explained to him that I bought that house before I even knew he existed, with my own money. Since he had no contribution to it, I do not feel obligated to add him to the deed, just to make him feel good. He then proceeded to call his family. While his sister and brother-in-law support me, his mom and dad said that it's not about the money, but about the togetherness, and that it should be for both of us, or none at all. I apologized, but made it clear that adding him to the deed is not going to happen. He will never be on the deed, even if he pays his share, because I know the struggle I went through to have that house. Now his mom and dad are saying that I disrespected them by saying this. Am I the idiot? Edit 1. Both of us are from the same country. We are currently working in a different country on a visa. We are allowed to buy a house where we work. We are planning to stay for at least 5 more years, so buying a house seems logical. In my country, we don't have a prenuptial agreement culture. I did tell him earlier that the house was mine and that I would never give it to anyone unless I am dead, in which case it will either go to my kids, if I have any, or to charity. Edit 2. I apologize if it seems like I'm entitled when I mention that I bought the land from my dad in a comment. I did buy it from him for a very low price, but I paid for all the construction costs, material costs, labor costs, etc. by myself. I even plastered and painted the walls myself when I was short on money. I believe this makes it valid for me to be proud of what I did. I come from a developing country, and I apologize if it seems unfair that the land came cheap, but I paid and did everything else myself. I have cut the tiles, mixed the paints, and watered the cement myself. So yes, I am proud and have an emotional attachment to that place. Edit 4. I am not in the US. Any property that I own before or after marriage, if it has my name on the deed, belongs solely to me. I can choose to register it in someone else's name if I want to, register a power of attorney, or register someone as a co-owner later, but it is completely up to my discretion. We do not have communal property laws. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I'm so happy to see someone draw the hard line. It's not fair. Well, nothing is stopping him from buying a house solely with his own funds. Though, I don't know why you would want kids with him. He's just going to cry to mommy every time he doesn't get his way. You have a husband problem where he thinks he's entitled to your property, doesn't respect you. Comment 2. Not the idiot. In most cases, I would think otherwise. In this case, you already owned one house, but bought a second one with your husband. I am wondering if there are big differences between his previous country and the one you are living in now. Did he marry you for a better lifestyle, to support his family, or are the countries pretty similar? Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I'm still trying to process it all. The past week has been a whirlwind of emotions and confrontations that I never expected. After I refused to add my husband's name to the deed of my house, things between us became tense. He couldn't understand why I was so adamant about keeping the house to myself, and I couldn't make him see the emotional value and hard work I put into it. We had a few calm discussions, but they always ended with him feeling hurt and me feeling frustrated. Then, 3 days ago, I came home from work to find my husband sitting at the kitchen table with a look on his face that I couldn't quite read. He told me that he had been doing some thinking and that he had a proposal. He suggested that if I didn't want to add his name to the deed of my house, maybe we could sell it and use the money to buy our new home together. That way, we would both have equal ownership, and it would be a fresh start for us. I was taken aback by his suggestion. The thought of selling my house, the house I had built from the ground up, was heartbreaking. I had so many memories there, and it was a symbol of my independence and hard work. I told him I needed time to think about it, but inside, I knew I couldn't do it. The next day, I found out from his sister that my husband had been talking to his parents again, and they had convinced him that selling my house was the best solution. They told him that it was the only way to prove that our marriage was a partnership and that I was committed to our future together. I was furious. I felt betrayed that he had gone behind my back to discuss our issues with his parents again, especially after I had made it clear that I didn't want them involved. I confronted him when he got home, and we had a huge fight. I told him that it felt like he was trying to control me and that I wasn't going to sell my house just to appease him and his parents. He accused me of being selfish and not thinking about our future. He said that if I really loved him, I would consider his feelings and make a sacrifice for the sake of our marriage. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could he not see that my house was more than just a building? It was a part of me. We didn't speak for the rest of the night, and the tension in the air was thick. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how we had gotten to this point. I remembered the early days of our relationship, when we would talk for hours about our dreams and plans for the future. It seemed like a lifetime ago. The next morning, I woke up to find a note on the kitchen counter. My husband had left early for work, but he had written that he was sorry for the fight and that he loved me. He said he would respect my decision about the house, but he hoped I would reconsider. I spent the day in a daze, trying to work but unable to focus. I kept thinking about the note and what it meant for our marriage. Was this the beginning of the end? Could we move past this? Or would the issue of the house always be a wedge between us? When my husband came home that evening, we sat down and had a long, honest conversation. We both apologized for the things we had said in anger, and we tried to understand each other's perspectives. He admitted that he had been feeling insecure about not having a property of his own, and that he was worried about what would happen if our marriage didn't work out. I told him that I understood his concerns, but that my house was non-negotiable. It was a part of my identity, and I couldn't give it up. I suggested that we could look into other ways to secure his financial future, like setting up a savings account or investing in stocks. We ended the conversation on a better note, but I could tell that the issue wasn't completely resolved. There was still a distance between us, a crack in the foundation of our marriage that we would have to work hard to repair. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.